memories they wanted to recall about Bernie. And I also talked to Glenda, her daughter, and she told me some more things, so I'll share them with you. We're here today to celebrate the life of Mary Bernice Rozier Nickerson. She went by Bernie. It's our intention to faithfully mourn for the loss of her presence in the lives of her loved ones, as well as celebrate. Jesus said, "Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Oh Lord, we come to you now, seeking your comfort. Now, we don't, in our love for the person of Bernie, wish she was still here on earth, because here we suffer the real pain and weight of life, and we know that especially today. We all know that life is harder to bear as we age and become less able to feel like our old selves. We're thankful that our loved ones who are gone are in their heavenly mansions. We delight in the reality that, in the words of Randy, Pat's son, they're completely free and more alive than they've ever been. Thanks be to God for that.
Thanks be to God.
The gratitude we feel for the gift of having our loved ones in our lives as we did is what we do celebrate. So here are some sweet thoughts about Bernie. She was the oldest girl of 6 children: Marcus, Bernice, Ed, Claire, Joyce, and E.W. I don't know what E.W. stands for.
Elijah Wesley.
No wonder you went by E.W. She was a wife and mother of 3 children. She has 4 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. She was born February 17th, 1920. She would have been 99 years old today.
Whoa.
She fell after attending church with friends and having lunch at a favorite restaurant on November 11th, 2018, and she entered into glory on November 16th, 2018. She was ready to be present with the Lord. She lived with her daughter Glenda for 27 years. Bernie loved children. She loved to bake, and she let Linda lick the bowl. She loved gardening. In fact, when Glenda was planting a new garden at her home, a neighbor suggested they get some tips from a TV gardening expert. Glenda said, "We don't need him. We've got my mom." They had been gardening from a very young age. They grew tobacco as a family when Bernie and Claire were kids, and their place was completely self-sufficient. In the house across the road from the tobacco fields, there was no electricity, no phone, no indoor plumbing. Everybody worked, and as the oldest girl, Bernie was mothering and bossing the other kids. She was famous for her southern cooking, banana pudding, a favorite of my husband's, and some legendary fried chicken were her specialties. She made the chicken from scratch, starting with wringing its neck. She sewed, and Claire thinks she was taught sewing by Bernie. Bernie sold her high school graduation dress and other special occasion clothes. They didn't always have a lot of money to give, but when neighbors and friends were sick, Bernie was known to bring homemade soup to cure their ills, and she also cooked for her Sunday school class on a regular basis. One of her several jobs outside the home was caregiving for children as a nanny for several families. She wore the mothering hat for these families that still keep in touch to this day. In fact, in Georgia, at the Sister Memorial, one of her young charges, now grown, is singing at her service. She also worked at JCPenney's and Barfield's as a secretary. And Bernie was the family driver. Glenda said she packed the car like an engineer, and they went on many camping trips. And Linda remembers building forts in Bernie's living room, and Glenda remembered they played school a lot, and both she and Linda became school teachers. In later years, she had some pretty painful arthritis. Linda and Claire sent her blue emu cream to ease her aches and pains. She went to church faithfully, and when she couldn't attend, Glenda and Bernie would watch Charles Stanley on television. And Linda and Claire get to do that now sometimes. Bernie knew that her time was drawing close. A short while before she took her final journey, she stood up without help from her chair at home and was quite wobbly. Glenda was there, and Bernie looked at her and said, "I know at my age, if I fall, that's all it will take. I'll be careful." At the same moment, she indicated she was ready any time. Glenda remembered a delightful story. Her mom regularly baked a batch of Toll House cookies, and there was a boy who lived at least a mile away, and he inevitably turned up at the door as the cookies were coming out of the oven, asking innocently, "Miss Bernie, are you making some cookies today?" Sometimes the fragrance of heaven smells like a batch of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies, and I made some Toll House cookies, following the recipe faithfully, and I brought them there. You can share those. So, if Claire or Linda, do you wanna share any other memories about Bernie right now? You feel like okay, you can't hear me? Would you like to share any other memories about your sister right now?
I was a little bit jealous of her, 'cause anytime one of the babies cried at night, they were little, she would come and take them away from Mama and lie down, put them on her tummy and rub their back, and they went back to sleep and slept hard. And it was just precious to see her, because I knew she loved them so much. And even though they weren't her children, she felt the need for some tender, loving care that Mama couldn't provide.
Mm.
And
She helped raise several of my little cousins, you know, just really was very involved in bringing them up.
Very maternal, huh?
Very much so. And I used to go down and spend the summers with them, and, you know, like one summer I took swimming lessons with them, and we went down to the pool in the neighborhood, and Benny Babcock Pool in Miami Springs. And we used to walk to the Circle Theater, you know, with our coins and our sweaty little fingers. And the first scary movie I ever saw in my whole entire life was there, and I to this day I can remember a little bits and snippets from it, and I had to have been really young. And I would never have been allowed to see anything like that at home. And now I know why. It's
what was it?
I don't know the name of it, but I just remember the some of the premises. I know it just it scared me too. Yep. And also we used to go to the grocery store. I don't remember which one it was, but it was on the Circle, and it had a donut machine, and it was like a telephone booth, but it was clear. You could see them, and batter plopped down, and it went into the grease, and it went all around, and then it was flipped over, went into the grease. You know, it was just really neat. I just remember we didn't have anything like that in Jacksonville. So I loved going to visit them. They lived near the airport in Miami. My uncle worked there, and when planes took off, it sounded like they were going to land on the house. And they never even heard us. You know, they didn't hear. But same thing happened to me when I lived by on Old Dixie, and the train used to rumble by, and Mom and Dad came to visit me one weekend. I said, "How did you sleep?" And my dad said, "Fine, between trains." I said, "What trains?" And he said the first train that came through, he thought it was coming in the room. And he said, I never heard them. So I guess if you want a good night's sleep, go live by the airport or the train station. And that's all.
Mm.
It was a good life.
I think that you were blessed to have had this long shared life together.
For sure.
Yeah. Seemed like she lived a full life too.
Yeah.
she was Mom to all the little ones.
And she traveled. She got to, you know, she went to Europe. Her daughter, Glenda, my cousin, taught in Germany, and my aunt went over to visit her, and so she got to do some traveling. And she married a guy who was from Canada, and they went to Canada and Nova Scotia, and, you know, so she, you know.
A full life.
She had a full life, yeah.
That's a blessing.
Still hard to see, you know.
Yes, you miss your sister, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Of course you do. But she'll always be with you, and she'll always be alive because she's with you in your heart.
In your memories.
It's okay to be sad, Claire.
Yes, it is.
Safety valve of the heart.
Good way to put it. So I'm gonna share this little reading. It says, love lasts. It doesn't end with your loved one's death. Share love freely as you say your goodbyes. Share tears freely too. The anguish you feel at parting is not yours alone. The dying person you love shares your pain. Trying to hold back tears only traps the pain of loss inside. Tears are a gift of release and healing. Use them freely throughout the journey at the end of life. To see you cry gives your companion permission to cry as well. Voice your struggles out loud. Proclaim your pain and having to live with this loss. At the end, all we can do as spiritual companions is to commit our loved one to journeying onward safely to a destination beyond our human understanding. We watch this real living person slowly disappear from our view. In the end, it is a solitary crossing. We must turn back to life again, though it is a changed life. A loved one cannot be replaced by anyone else. We go on, but we carry with us the memory of our trip and of our beloved fellow traveler. Thank you, Bernie, for sharing the ride with us.
Mhm.